I'm going to tell you a ghost story, and this one's true. What's up, weirdos? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Amy, one half of Full Dark Paranormal Explorers, where we discuss the strange and unusual. I'm going to tell you a ghost story, and this one's true. Now, when I say a ghost story is true, I mean it's as true as the people who remember it and who experienced it can provide through their own memories. Now, it's as true according to my friend Katrina and I as we remember. So there's a little bit of her and a little bit of me going over what happened in the early 2000s at a place called Pinewoods Cemetery. Now, my memories of the place are pretty freaky. My friend's memories of the place are long-lasting after that because of the effect the haunting had on her life. Pinewoods Cemetery is located in upstate New York, and for as long as I can remember, it's had a reputation of being extremely haunted. As far as known places where I live, the early 2000s internet forums were full of stories about this place. Its proper name is actually Forest Park Cemetery, and it hasn't been incorporated for decades, and because of this, there's no new headstones up close to the edge of the road. What you see when you drive down the road is a big stone pillared gate with wrought iron fencing, but the fence ends at the gate, and there's nothing but woods and hemlock trees, which are often planted in cemeteries, but there's no headstones right near the road. What you see just beyond the gate, though, is a roofless, burned out shell of a mausoleum. Now, efforts have been made recently to bring this place back for historic reasons and to preserve the land, and because it is an actual cemetery. So access to it even now as a burial ground is restricted because it's had such a bad reputation. 20 years ago, maybe the cops were there, maybe they'd spot you if you left your car, but we left our car on the side of the road and walked around it in the daytime. Some of the haunting activity that's reported there is green mist rising from the ground because people believe that there are catacombs or burial chambers underneath the actual field of the cemetery. Keep in mind, these are reports written on the internet a long time ago. And they're cool stories and cool legends, but some of these can be left at legend. This place locally is like an entire episode of Goosebumps on its own. Way at the back, beyond these little rolling hills, past where there are some headstones from the 1900s and a few from the 1800s. They're very distant though and spread apart, so it doesn't even look like a normal cemetery. You walk down the hill and there's two graves here, there's two scattered over there, and 100 feet that way there's more. So as you walk toward the back of the cemetery and down the hills, there's two statues of angels, but they're both headless. They're gorgeous, but of course, when a statue's been desecrated, it can gain a really good story, like it cries blood. I didn't see it cry blood. There's oxidation that'll happen as stones and change colors of things and weather it, but because the place now is being cleaned, they look pretty normal, just headless. But it is said that these statues drip blood or cry from the neck. Either way, liquid. The amount of shadows and voices and full apparitions that have been reported are numerous. There's a few raised burial vaults, like the rectangular slabs you would see, and some headstones that look really cool being eaten over by trees. And so, because I'd heard so much about this place when I was in college, and I told my friends who were as into ghosts and the paranormal back then as I was, still not a phase, we decided we were going to visit Pinewoods, or Forest Park Cemetery, and see this scary stuff for ourselves. There must have been 5 of us in a car, or else we took 2 cars, I can't quite remember, but my friend Katrina and her younger sister Melissa were there, along with 2 other women, we must have taken 2 cars. There were a bunch of us. But the main players in this story are going to be Katrina, Melissa, and myself, and another woman, because that other woman maybe, possibly, could, it definitely believes, and has a strange history, has said things to me. One woman's quite likely a psychic medium. But here we are, a bunch of us in college, rolling up to Pinewoods Cemetery. We didn't have video cameras. Our cell phones were like LG flip phones. We pulled over the car and it was overcast and rainy, so it was already gloomy and eerie looking. And we wander, to my memory, again, this is like 15 years, we wandered right in around the gate. There aren't too many houses across the street, so we hadn't heard anything about patrolling. There were no Instagram, no social media things besides MySpace. Yeah, MySpace was out there. We weren't able to go onto the internet and just be like, how do we go here and what's this like? And so we got to the mausoleum and we looked around in it, and the one person who has the abilities said that they definitely felt like things were watching us from the corners, from like sitting up on the corners. They have pathways there that are like through fields, of course, that are mown or like weed whacked to walk through, and that's it. Everything else was just overgrown, and there's headstones like sticking out here and there. It was, if I could paint it for you, I would, because my words are not going to do this place eerie, creepy, f***ed up justice. Now, what's so fantastic about this is that we didn't have video cameras and we didn't have recorders, but we had cameras, like disposable 35mm cameras. And Katrina found the pictures of this cemetery in our trip recently. So I am going to let her tell you some of the things that we went through, and of course, the really creepy part, the aftermath that happened to her.
So I finally got the pictures, and I'm going to start sending them, some of them to you. Please excuse the pajama pants underneath and the quality of me just taking a picture of a picture. Yes, there was spirits like in the rafters, because you could still, the rafters were still there, but the roof had been completely removed. The rafters are, you know, it's metal. They were completely straight, but in all of the pictures I took of them, it's wavy. Like there was obviously something distorting the camera. You could tell there's shit there. Like it's really f***ed up. And when we walked way back in the cemetery to where the headless statues were, remember we kept saying like, it felt like things were brushing up against our feet. I took pictures of that, of our feet as we were walking through there, and there's like a white mist around our feet too. Totally freaky. And when we were in the mausoleum building, she had said something like she could feel the presence of a woman there that had, and was, I guess, communicating with her. She said like she used to work there or something. She used to take care of the grounds. And she had said something about me, that she liked me, how I live my lifestyle. She had said something to me to know that she was real. I can't even remember what it was. It was about something with a guy that I was seeing at the time, and no one else would have known. Definitely wouldn't have known. It was some secret, and said it to me, and that's how I knew it was real. Because that was in the summer, so I was living in my parents' house still for a few more months, and little things would happen here and there. But I moved to the city in November, and that's when things really started happening. So when I first moved to the city, I was pretty promiscuous, screwing around with different guys, and I would keep a journal and keep track of like different things about them, what was good, what was bad, whatever, and write about them. And almost every day when I would come home from work, my journal would be open on my bed to the same exact page talking about the same exact guy. And it was just like shit like that constantly happening. Things would be moved, my TV and stuff, things would just turn on all the time by themselves. It was always like little things, like I could hear footsteps coming down our hallway, and there'd be no one there when I'd look. It was really pretty freaky. And I had asked what should I do, and she told me like you have to be really stern, really mean, and just yell at it that you've had enough and you want it to leave you alone, and hopefully it'll go away. So one day I was getting ready for work, and my TV flicked on all by itself, and so I turned it off, and I'm still getting ready. A few minutes later it clicks on again. So I turn it off again, and I go down the hallway to the shower, and I'm getting ready in there, and the radio in our hallway flicks on by itself. So I turned it off, and then it flicked on again. So, like, at that point, I was freaked out, but I had also had it. After the radio turned on, I flipped out and just said, like, I'm done. You need to stop fucking with me. Leave me alone. And whatever. And then after that, nothing ever happened again. It was so freaking weird.
As far as we know, Katrina's not as haunted now. And she doesn't live in the same place, and it's been quite a while since any of this occurred, but we all remember it fondly as the time we walked into a cemetery we probably shouldn't have. We walked into this crazy old cemetery with randomly scattered burials, headless statues, and a mausoleum that may or may not have had something a little more sinister, creepy, odd, old, unknown in it with us. And I remember all of this. I remember being like, wow, she's like the target of a ghost. But as far as things that happened to her afterward, that kind of tracks. Which, better you than me? All our apartments in this college town were old as shit, and they were creepy. And let's just say it's not the only ghost story that has to do with that bunch of people and stuff we got into, but this is the story of that night in Pinewoods. Now what's really neat is it's been a while. The area that it's in has wanted to clean up and restore this place, so there's an entire historic organization that's given actual lectures and tours about the cemetery and clean it up, and we know it's being taken care of a lot more, but I don't believe it's even accessible as a park yet. Maybe soon. There was kind of a panini in the way, but Ryan and I got to visit it and walk around it last year. I was definitely wearing a conductor's hat in like 2004, and I should have made a different decision. However, I did not, so I hope you enjoyed that. iPod Nanos, long scarves, cardigans, but we definitely had a really weird time in the cemetery, and I'm so glad that we all had the guts to just be like, let's just drive there and park in the rain and go see it, and we did. And this is what you get out of it. Sometimes just a crazy story, and sometimes a whole ass ghost. And take from it what you will, you know? This is Katrina's perspective, this is my memory of the place, and these are the photos that are left from this crazy adventure in early 2000s ghost hunting. So thank you for being here for another Dark Matter vlog, and if you enjoyed this video, you know, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below and tell me what you thought, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel, get there, hit that button, and above all else, stay weird.